In this video, we're going to be reviewing The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, directed and written by John Cassavetes, starring Ben Gazzarra. I'm Robert Bellissimo. Shit, I forgot to copy it with aliens.
Yeah.
In this video, we're going to be reviewing The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, directed and written by John Cassavetes, which came out in 1976. We're Coffee with Aliens at the Movies, a review channel, as well as a visual literacy channel. I'm Robert Bellissimo. I'm an actor and acting teacher.
I'm Steve Chambers. I'm a writer and an actor.
And if this is your first time here, please consider hitting the subscribe button, which is in the description box below. Okay, let's just dive right into this one.
Yeah. Look at us. Look at us.
Yeah. I'm curious, Steve, because we both know this movie well, but if you were to, talk to someone on the street who didn't know Cassavetes, how would you sell them on checking this out? What would be your pitch?
So, on one level, I would say, it's about a seedy nightclub owner, strip club owner, nightclub owner who needs to erase a debt that he has to some gangsters, and the only way he can do that is by murdering a bookie for the gangsters.
Right.
That's pitch one. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's not a lie. That's
in there.
That's a version of the premise. In fact, it's the surface level premise. Second, but I think what's really going on is he's falling more and more in love with his burlesque show that he takes seriously, that he directs, that he orchestrates. It's like a painting he makes. That is what it's about. Him and his love for his art that no one else appreciates because they come to his club to see what? Naked girls, boobs.
Yeah.
He gets that, but he takes it very seriously. He takes his girls very seriously.
Yeah,
it's his art. So.
And the gangsters are basically trying to take that away from him.
Exactly. So that's like the best premise. So I think in a lot of films in general, like a regular movie, that premise alone would happen. But it's almost like from the minute the curtain opens, we're watching. The characters have just started living then. What I mean is, with Killing of a Chinese Bookie, why it's also about something deeper is we're entering this character's life while so much is already going on. So before we even introduce that premise over him, that's just it.
Right.
He's so got an agenda already. He's so full of life. He's so already, got an agenda. He's got a thing. He's got a passion. And that's enough to kind of draw you in. Then on top of it, you throw our external obstacles. And I think that's a unique thing you don't usually see in films. The film writer, and I understand, I do this myself, because it's all about speed, right? You got to keep things quick.
Right.
The premise is enough. The premise is enough. It's the nightclub owner's got to kill the thing. Okay, well, who's this nightclub owner? He's a nightclub owner. He does this and he does that. But, it's whatever. Here, I think we really give this guy a life.
Yeah.
And a struggle, because no one appreciates his art. And I think that's key. So before you introduce the really cool, very good premise, could be a very slick Hollywood, it is, right? It's a slick Hollywood gangster premise over a very alive guy who's at odds with himself and his world and his artistic integrity, and he needs this. And so, it's about two things at the very least.
And there's one thing that David Mamet always said, where Cassavetes, I think, would disagree, is don't follow the characters. But John follows the characters because
that's it. Yes.
Exactly. He wants you to live with these people, to get to know them. He doesn't want to just, I think that those first few scenes where he picks the women up and, he's really he gets the limo out. He has a driver. Everything's about style. Everything's about doing it with pizzazz. And yes, you see his love of this club. And don't worry, I know it's slow right now, kid, but it's gonna pick up. He says to the guy who parks the cars that, so you're really getting. I think most Hollywood films that would have been just a montage. Yeah, that's the thing with John. He really involves you. It's not just, as he would call it, like a canned truth. We're not going to just condense, can it. I mean, obviously it's a movie, so it has to be somewhat condensed. He has you live through it as much as you can within the 2.5 hours of the film.
And I've read that this is also sort of a metaphor for how John Cassavetes himself felt.
That's right.
The dancing, the burlesque show being his art, his films. And people coming to look at the nudity in the strip show is the equivalent of people just, I'm just coming to a movie, a popular movie, a John Cassavetes movie. Yeah, but you're missing what's happening. And he, like the Ben Gazzarra character, are always not at odds, but in danger of losing what they do currently have the ability to do, which is showing off their heart and their passion. And so I think you take that out of it, you're goddamn right, it's not a John Cassavetes film.
It's so much more of a complex character study. And Cosmo, who Ben Gazzarra plays, is a fascinating character because he's all about style. He's all about, even when he owes this $25,000 and they're kind of eyeballing him. And Gazzara's reaction, I love, he smiles. He smiles and it's going to be all right. It shakes everyone's hand like as if he's just saying goodnight and nothing's wrong. And you even see he doesn't let the anxiety show. When he's with the women and one of the women say, "Oh, geez, are we out of a job now?" And he doesn't even answer. And then he tells his girlfriend, "You know what? I think the best thing to do is let's go back there and put some money down and try to win it back." Classic gambling addiction. But it's still, he's smiling. He's smiling through it. You can see in his eyes how he's feeling, but he doesn't show it. It's just, that speaks to how good of an actor Gazzarra is, because he has this slickness going on. But at the same time, you can see how he really feels. But he's this guy who has to look good. And you don't know why he's like that. Again, John is not going to give you the psychology. He's going to show you the behavior. But he's not going to give you the psychology as to why this man wound up this way. He kills all the gangsters and he kills the Chinese bookie. And he says to everyone backstage, well, the people who are happy are the ones who are comfortable. And then you think, well, because this guy is not comfortable, right? This guy likes to live on the edge. He likes to live in danger, or else he's got to sit with himself, and he doesn't want to do that. And then he elaborates and says, oh, well, I'm only happy when I'm being what people want me to be. Then I'm happy, and then, oh, okay, well, that's a deep insecurity. In other words, he's always playing the part. He's playing the owner. He's playing the guy with the flower in his lapel and smiling, and look at these women I've got here, look at the limo, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's really, to me, is fascinating, because you just see glimpses of him, but you don't really get inside of him. But he's a deeply insecure man. And even with the gunshot wounds, why doesn't he go to the hospital? It's like his girlfriend's mother says, you think you're gonna live with the bullet in you. And he doesn't, even at the end, you see him outside and he's bleeding to death. And you think, is that a death wish? Or does he just not want to go to the hospital and show that he's in trouble? And maybe that's an analogy for like opening up your wounds, maybe. I don't know. It's just top of my head. But it's totally ambiguous, right? I mean, who knows? And I always had a hard time with that ending. I always thought, what is he? And I think just, after my, God knows, 10th viewing of it last night, I just started to get it. That's how hard these movies are. I just, not get it, but got more of an idea of what maybe John was after. But as we said with his other films, you can never nail down a motivation. You can never nail down psychology. If you can, it's too easy, right? It's totally ambiguous as to why this man is the way he is, but I'm fascinated by it.
So Gazzarra said, I saw recently, yesterday, Ben Gazzarra does a little interview from 10 years ago. He talks about the first time they screamed Killing of a Chinese Bookie, and he's like, I knew we were dead. Like, people weren't having it. But this guy, no, it is Al Rubin. That's his name. This guy.
Al Rubin, his producer, Yeah.
So this guy, Al Rubin, goes a step further. And he goes, not only did I think we were dead that people didn't like this movie, but they were angry at this movie. So let me
Yeah.
ask you, what does that mean? Why were people angry at a movie?
Well, I think it's like what John said. What John would say is that when people have these, he didn't care if you hated it. He actually liked those kind of responses because to him that was saying that they're seeing something in Cosmo that they see in themselves, you know, and they would watch, you know, from the projection booth, even in A Woman Under the Influence, people coming in and out and pacing in the hallways and going back in, right? Because it's hitting some kind of a nerve that and I think a lot of people are like Cosmo in that sense where they are trying to be what they're not, and we are wearing these masks and doing what people expect of us and are smiling through tears and anger and stuff. And I think when you see that in characters, you get mad because you're saying, come on, show me yourself, come on. Especially in a movie, we demand the emotion, and John's like, nope. It's not gonna happen, right? And also it's just a tough movie. I mean, another thing I was gonna mention was, you know, John, even Gazzarra was like, well, maybe we should jazz these strip showcase these shows up, and John's like, no, it's gotta be like Underbelly. It's gotta look it can't look like Hollywood, like a musical. It's gotta look kind of shitty. You know, and they are weird, right? They're weird, and they're like
fucked.
It looks like a guy and it's not that John's making fun of it, but they look like someone a guy who's not from show business, you know, that makes CD. And I love his obsession with the place. And even there's two amazing scenes. One is where he's on the way to kill the Chinese bookie and the car breaks down. So you don't know whether they like hit the tire so he'd get into an accident or if that just happened. And then he goes out to call a cab to pick him up, and he calls the club to see how the show's going. Like, he's so obsessed. He calls the bartender, what number are they on? And even later on, after he gets shot, he goes to his girlfriend's house and he says, I love that, to his he goes, looks at his girlfriend. Here he is bleeding to death. Why aren't you at work?
Well, but
you know,
that
it's like,
says it all, man. You're on your way to kill someone for a gangster so they don't kill you, and now your car's broken down on the way. Anyone else would shit themselves. This guy, I better check to see how the club's going. Like, that would not be in the Hollywood typical version of this movie.
God no. And it doesn't feel like you know, maybe someone would make that into a big joke. That's the thing with John. You never feel he's making fun of everyone. You never feel, I don't know how he did it, but it's always with a great deal of empathy, a great deal of respect.
But that's how you do it.
There's no satire. And he hated satire. He hated when people would be made fun of intentionally. And I think I don't know how he could do that and make it awkward and funny and like, you know, people can react in so many different ways to that. It's not like, hey, why isn't the audience laughing? This is the joke. No, you can be sad about that. You can be laughing about that. You can think, what the hell is this guy doing? Get back on the road. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I love the music in this film, again, composed by Bo Harwood. But you know what's brilliant is there's not a lot of music, but when there is music, it's so good, and it really speaks to what's happening with this guy, and it doesn't you know, poke at the audience to feel something, but it's just right. The crime element of this film, you know, if that's all that it was, it has the element of maybe what they would have done in Hollywood, where, I mean, realistically, this guy wouldn't have had a chance with these bookie. There was like 15 guards there. It was heavily, and he still managed to do what these like trained killers couldn't do. So, but again, that that is where the Hollywood element John had in there, which is fine, right? Because I think a lot of the time people think that John's films that he's a realistic filmmaker, but it's yes, they're closer to reality, but it's much more of an idealist. He's much more of not just shooting reality. I mean, when you put a camera on something, it's no longer reality. He's definitely has the heightened realities, as well as what would the ideal thing be, just like a Frank Capra. You know, what's the ideal situation here? So
That's
I mean, I love the film. And as we said in our other Cassavetes videos, if you know, if you're an aspiring filmmaker or a filmmaker, a writer, an actor, an editor, a camera operator, a cinematographer, this box set is a film school and an acting school. And it's loaded with special features and a 3.5-hour documentary called The Constant Forge.
It's great. And there's a little
Even Barry Jenkins said that about this box set. It's a film school, and I think that's
he did. Yeah, that's right. And I think he's right. I saw that on the shopping in the closet. I saw him say that, and he's right.
And the book that Steve speaks of is this one here, which has great essays by a lot of different filmmakers, like Scorsese and plenty others, and interviews he did, and stuff like that. It's been great chatting about this one today, Steve.
Yeah, I love this.
As we go through our Cassavetes filmography. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We hope that if you haven't seen this film, you're going to want to see it. And if you have seen it, then you're going to want to see it again. Like in my case, and Steve's case as well. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel. You'll see the Coffee with Aliens at the Movies logo above my head to the right here. Please click on that, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Thanks so much, Steve.